What's up, sports bettors? I gave out these plays on Twitter last night. We had 3 picks on Underdog Fantasy to turn $2,000 into $12,000, and this hit. And what I have for you today is an insane entry. 5 picks, $1,750 to win $35K. I really like it. I like every pick. So I've explained before, but the way this fantasy company works is they give you fixed odds. So what I mean by that is any 2-leg parlay, you'll see they have this little multiplier thing at the top. You're going to be getting 1 to win 3. Doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, it doesn't matter what picks you select. You're betting 1 to win 3. So essentially, we've gone through the math a bunch of times, but when you're betting on Underdog Fantasy, you should assume that you're getting minus 122 juice if you're playing a 5-pick entry or a 3-pick entry. If you're playing 2-pick entries, you should assume you're betting at minus 137 juice. So minus 137 versus minus 122. This is for 2-pick entries. This is for 3 and 5-pick entries. So obviously, you'd rather play at minus 122 juice as opposed to minus 137 juice. Right? So essentially 2-pick entries are horrible. You don't want to place 2-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy. So you'll notice this one was actually an accident. I was trying to place a 3-pick and I guess I fat fingered it. But on all the plays I give out, it's basically going to be 3-pick entries for the most part, as well as the occasional 5-pick one. 5 picks are just harder to create because then you need 5 picks you like at minus 122 as opposed to just 3. But I found 5 I like, so let's go through it. First, I have Tobias Harris over 5.5 rebounds and Russell Westbrook under 5.5. So why do we like these plays? Again, we're just using market data to find an edge, right? You can see actually the highest profit margin bet on OddsJam for me on the positive EV betting tool, right? The positive EV betting tool is probably what I use the most because it's simple, right? All this tool does is it points out the value on Underdog Fantasy. There's no BS. All it's saying is, hey, Russell Westbrook under 5.5 rebounds is the top profit margin play because you'll notice every sportsbook has this juiced from minus 143 or minus 133 to minus 163. And we're getting minus 122 on Underdog, right? So that's a no-brainer. Tons of value on this play. FanDuel has this minus 148, Caesars minus 163. I mean, again, all these sportsbooks set lines independently, so the easiest way to make money off sportsbooks is you just ruthlessly compare the lines, on sportsbooks to those on Underdog Fantasy, and you look for value. The same thing goes when you're betting on sportsbooks too, right? It's just the bet and bold with a circle around it. So the reason Kittle is shown here is you can get under 40.5 receiving yards on Kittle at plus 104. No other sportsbook is giving better than minus 112. DraftKings has the under favored. Bet Online, another sharp sportsbook, they actually have the under favored, and we can get this at plus money, right? So the entire point of OddsJam is just make this data actionable, right? Take all these frickin' betting lines from Underdog Fantasy, slap a minus 122 and a minus 137 on them, and then compare them to the sportsbooks and just, look for value. So we're always looking for value as a sports bettor. I say this all the time, but you don't need to build your own model. All these sports books, invest hundreds of millions of dollars into their ability to set lines. And sports betting is also a market, right? There's millions of people betting on the NBAs every night. So sports books are constantly moving around odds due to supply and demand, sharp action, stuff like that. So all we want to do is, look for those few soft spots on Underdog Fantasy where they're screwing up big enough and giving us way too much value on a play at minus 122 odds. And here's a clear example. All the sports books are saying, this should be like minus 150. We're getting it minus 122. Clearly a play that beats the juice, right? We're getting better odds than the no vig line. And then same with Harris. All the sports books have the over heavily juiced, so the over is a lot more likely to occur. I feel like people overcomplicate, and then I have Torrey Craig over 1.5 made threes. So again, that could be your 3-pick entry. Just positive EV bets. I mean, you can literally filter out these other sports books if you don't want to see them and just see Underdog. But, play number 1, bet and bold with a circle around it, Underdog Fantasy. So now we have play 1, play 2, Harris over 5.5 rebounds. Play 3, Torrey Craig over 1.5 threes. All the sports books have the over pretty heavily juiced. A little bit of disagreement. You can see Unibet's at minus 125, but overall, most sportsbooks minus 140 to minus 150. Definitely we want to be on it at minus 122. So those are the first three picks I have. Harris over 5.5 rebounds, Westbrook under 5.5 rebounds, right? This bet has a higher profit margin, but hey, we need 5 or 3. And then finally, Torrey Craig over 1.5 made threes. Then I used this odds jam screen, which is amazing. I found an incredible play. LeBron James over 7 rebounds we can get. Prize Picks has his line at 7.5. DraftKings 7.5, juiced towards the over. FanDuel over 7.5, juiced towards the over. Bet365, juiced towards the over. So most of these sports books, it's a little split, but they have the over-under at 7.5, and a lot of them have the over 7.5 rebounds juiced. We're getting over 7, right? So if LeBron has 7 rebounds, we'll push, and our 5-pick entry will become a 4-pick entry on Underdog. Whereas if you bet on LeBron's over in rebounds on Prize Picks, you're losing. So we're looking for value. So the way I use this screen is I literally just scan for where are big discrepancies between the sports books and Underdog Fantasy. So here, this jumped out at me because, hey, Prize Picks is half of a rebound off from their direct competitor Prize Picks. And then a lot of these sports books have the over 7.5 rebounds juice. So that seems pretty good, right? And then you can kind of continue to go through, hey, maybe you want to take, Valanciunas under 10. But again, here, every sports book has the over 9.5 slightly juiced. So maybe getting under 10 isn't as attractive. But you can kind of use this screen to manually hunt for value. So here is another play I took. Bridges, over 4. Sportsbooks have his line at 4.5. Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker in the world. You can see right here, they have the over 4.5 rebounds juiced towards the over. Pretty incredible. So a lot of plays out there. Let's make money. So here's the play. Here's the final play. I realized I didn't include it. So we have Harris over 5.5 rebounds, LeBron over 7, Bridges over 4, Craig over 1.5 threes, Westbrook under 5.5 rebounds. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you're tailing. 5 picks to win 35 grand. Let's make some money.